Well, it's time for you to come up to the front today. Hello. I'm going to be talking a little bit, I'm going to be talking in the service this morning about, for one thing I'm going to talk about is 9/11, and I don't think you know about 9/11 because that happened a long time ago, a long time before you were born. But in 9/11, there was some planes were hijacked in the United States, and some people did some terrible things, and the people in the States were afraid that they were going to that there may be other planes in the air that were hijacked, and so they said that there could be no planes land in the States. That they closed the borders to any planes flying over the United States. Well, the problem was there were already some planes on the way to the United States, and the American authorities said, "No, you can't come. You can't come in here." So some of the planes weren't too far along, so they turned around and went back to where they came from. And some of the planes were too far along, so they had to find a place to land. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about that this morning. But some of the planes, and there were 238 planes that had to find a place to land. And some of the planes landed in this little place in Newfoundland. And the problem was that people on the plane didn't even know that they weren't going home to the States. So they landed in a strange place, and they got off the plane, and they looked, and there was this sign, and it said, "Welcome to Gander." And I think a lot of them said, "Where is Gander?" This is a picture of you can't see it, and I didn't get it to Mark, but this is a picture that says, "Welcome to Gander." And if they had have been perceptive, they might have known where Gander is, because right up in the little corner here, there's what?
Canada's flag.
Canada's flag. So they knew they were somewhere in Canada, but they didn't know where in Canada they were. Do you know what? There are 9,000 people who live in Gander. It's just a small city, 9,000 people. Do you know how many passengers and crew members there were that got off the plane in Gander? There were 7,000 people got off the plane. That almost doubled the size of Gander when all those planes landed. Here's a picture of what it looked like.
I almost thought there was 987 people.
Well, there were way more than 980. That's what the runway looked like in Gander.
Giant U?
A giant U with planes lined up all the way around the U. The place was just filled with planes. And they were there for 7 days. And can you imagine what it would be like to be in a place for 7 days? Had 9,000 people, Gander did. It had 500 hotel rooms for 7,000 people. Look where all the people slept. They slept in the school gyms. And the people of Gander had to really help out, just like your friends helped out when you were caught. 7,000 people, and they were trying to help out. And the mayor of Gander said there were a lot of interesting things that happened. 5 days they were in Gander, and they said so. They set up the school gyms so people could sleep there, and the Salvation Army and the Red Cross made food for them. They turned the hockey rink into a big walk-in freezer. Of course, they ran out of all kinds of things. Do you know what they ran out of? Underwear. See, when the people got off the plane, they couldn't unload all their baggage and everything, so they only had what they had with them.
Yeah.
And the people ran out of underwear, so they had to send an SOS to St. John's, which was 207 miles down the road, and asked them to send up some underwear, so they did. They also, I mean, you know, in a population of 9,000 people, I don't know how many of them were Jewish, but some Jewish people have special meals. So all of a sudden, these people who are making lunches have to learn how to make kosher meals for the Jewish people who were there. Do you know there were, let me just see if I can find it. There were people from 95 different countries living in Gander for 7 days, from 95 different countries. And so they had to make kosher meals. They had to find a place for the Muslims to be able to go to pray, because they prayed during the day all the time. The town veterinarian had to look after all the animals that were in the holds of the plane. 38 planes, and he had to look after all the animals, including a couple of chimpanzees that were going to a zoo in Cincinnati. They got a message a year later from the zoo in Cincinnati saying they just had a baby chimpanzee born that they named Gander. And then it says on day 2 of their time there, at the Royal Canadian Legion, they started initiating all the passengers to become honorary Newfoundlanders. Have any of you become an honorary Newfoundlander? Just one. I can put up my hand. We became honorary Newfoundlanders. So what happens? They wear yellow sou'westers, which are kind of like raincoats, and then they eat hard bread and pickled bologna.
I almost thought instead of underwear they ran out of shirts.
Well, I suspect they did that too, but you can sort of get by with a shirt, but I can't get by for 5 days without some underwear, that's for sure. So they had to wear these yellow raincoats and eat hard bread and pickled bologna, and then they had to kiss a cod on the mouth. Cod is a fish. They had to kiss a cod on the mouth, and then they had to have a shot glass of Screech, which is the local home brew there. And while they did that, the onlookers, the Newfoundlanders, played ugly sticks. Have you seen an ugly stick? Can anyone describe it? It's a broomstick, isn't it? And it's got all sorts of beer bottle caps nailed to it. And as they bounce it up and down, it jiggles and jingles and makes a noise. And they call it an ugly stick. And they said so.
I almost thought instead of the pickled bologna stuff, I thought it might have been pickled pizza that has stinky socks made out of it.
Well, some people may think eating pickled bologna is the same thing. We don't want to try it, do we? Do you want to try to eat pickled bologna?
No,
I don't think so either.
I think it might have tasted like stinky bread with rotten pickles.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. Anyway, the mayor said that they started out on day 1 with 7,000 strangers, and we finished with 7,000 family members. And we know what that's like, don't we?
Yeah.
So that's the story for today, and I'm going to talk about some more of that, but you can go off to church school and have some fun there. So, and we're going to sing as you go.